Welcome back. Sunday, Labor Day weekend here, and working on the SU. Had a Green Day concert Friday night, went to Bama's first home game Saturday night, so today was the first kind of opportunity I've had a chance to work on the SU, Roll Tide. So this is something that you kind of got to go slow on, and a lot of things depend on things lining up and functioning properly, so it's like definitely one of those measure twice, cut once kind of thing, or in this case, measure a dozen times and then try to cut once and then measure again and then cut. So just remember that. And the kind of sucky part of this is Skymaster typically has the lollipop mechanism where you can just, drop your stab in and go fly. But because of the way this one's designed, you actually have to, every time, unless you leave the stab on it, every time you take it apart to either carry it or store it, and if you take the stab off, you have to disconnect the linkage, which sucks, but small price to pay, not a huge deal. So today I'm working on putting the carbon fiber rods in here, or the carbon fiber control horns in, these guys here. And the biggest thing is you got to put them in line with the rudder, because everything kind of runs through a channel here, and then you got these cover pieces on that have to function properly. This is kind of probably a better angle if I do it from over here, because they're kind of they're moving like this. They actually go in, they're moving, so when it comes full down, you don't want it popping out, because if it does, it jams and breaks. So you have to set these where like your full down is kind of like that. So it doesn't pop out, the smaller piece doesn't pop out of the rudder piece, so it kind of ends up looking like that. And then same thing when you're going up, it's got to have clearance and not kind of crush it and stall it. I did have to clean out, it's hard to see, but there was some high sol in here in the joint, so I had to go through and sand this and then sand each side here, which is just typical. These will have to be trimmed as well once I get the carbon horns in. So what I did was went ahead and just using this so I can kind of keep an idea of what I'm looking at. So the good thing about this jet is the 0 point typically, if from what I've seen, seems to be about the same for everybody, which is kind of this neutral position like right here. So then they got this kind of painted on. Well, it's not really painted. They don't paint their decals. They're printed and glued on and then painted over with the clear for most of their stuff, which is why they're so raised and bumpy. But so neutral is right here, right above this bottom lip, which they had about 70 millimeters from the top down. So that's a good starting point. So I just put mine there, and then I went 100 above, which is right here, and then 100 below, which you have to put this bottom fin on to get the extra, and then I measure 100 down. So when you're setting this up, your neutral is not level, it's here. So your control horn and all that, you have to keep all that in mind. You have to keep this stuff in mind for that, because if you set this bad boy center, like this, and then you go full up, it's going to pop out like that. So just remember that. So I started on one stab here, and I put these on, and what I did was I put them on, put the little plastic piece on, went to center, marked it at center, and then I went 100, made sure it stayed in line, and down 100, made sure everything stayed in line. Then I just kind of marked it, and then the cover, and then I took that piece, and what I'm doing is making the control horns sit where the attachment point for the control arm is, perpendicular to the shaft. Over center of the shaft, straight down. That's what you're looking for. So it's kind of like, it's going to be like right there. And and what I didn't realize when I first cut this was I didn't equate for the angle. So when I put these in, it was too far back. So I just had to cut a little bit more, and then you essentially cut up to where you hit this forward piece they glue in here. And this one's right. So, and this actually fits perfect. So it wasn't really a goof. It was just extending the control arm like it needs to be. So, and there was a wood block in here that I'll soak with some CA and then high sol it. So you kind of want it like that. That's what you're looking for. The problem, just when, I think things are, Skymaster isn't your typical boneheads. I try to think that they're all boneheads when it comes to building these things because they're not modelists. They're just hired workers that build these. But you would think that the jigs, that they do everything, should be like a no-brainer. Well, found my first problem. So this is the other stab, and everything's marked where it needs to be. And this is where the control horn, I don't know, hopefully you guys can see that. I've written it. But the control horn is going to be essentially right here. The problem is when you flip this guy and look right there, that line is past this bulkhead. And if you notice, hold on, I gotta get my phone, make sure you guys are seeing this. No, you're not. Okay. You see that little black hole right there? Well, that black hole is not on this other stab because that block is forward more. So they glued this block in wrong. And it's half-ass glued anyways. You can see the gaps. And I think they just like, oh, fuck, we forgot it. So let's just stick it in there and glue it in and then they pushed it in too far. So, and you can see all the gaps. Like, there's no strength to that. I mean, it's just crap, because it doesn't go anywhere into this. It's just butts up against this center wall. So you got all this force pulling on this stab right here. And they didn't do it right. So when I cut my servo arms or control horns here, they're going to be sticking. I'll have to cut channels in that front wall and they'll be sticking out, if that makes sense, if that's easier to see. And then what I'll have to do at that point is glue another piece of ply on top of this to kind of cap it. Or actually, I may just, what I may do is cut the channels out in the piece that I'm gluing on and let these slide down in there and then just run some glue over it so it'll be flush. That's probably what I bet, probably the best way to do. And then I'll glue it and get a good seal or get a good glue joint, put some more glue in here. Because I mean, there's just like gaps, and this is kind of a critical area. So you can kind of see it, like here's where the control horn is gonna be. Hold on, let me rotate. And you can see it's well past where the, hold on, right there. Yeah, so it's about 1/8 of an inch or more past this one. And on the other stab, the control horn and everything is behind this bulkhead because it's further forward. So, pain in the ass. Just one more thing I gotta fix. Yeah, so anyways. Yeah, well that one's done. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut everything on this one and then that'll leave it essentially, I'll have that cut out in the forward bulkhead there. And I'll glue them in and then I'll go back because I gotta make sure, and I don't think it will, make sure nothing is gonna hit. Because as long as you don't go past this outer skin, this way, you shouldn't hit anything because this thing just, hold on. Yeah, so you have about a 1/4 of an inch that you can extend forward and not hit anything. So let's see what this one looks like compared to that. Yeah, so the skins, this one's nice around. I'll clean this one up a little bit, but that bulkhead is further forward. So yeah, see the bulkhead's flush with this this kind of happy face. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one glued in, and then I'll work on this one. I'm actually gonna go ahead and cut the channel. So something that works great. So I'll essentially get the top skin cut through, and then I'll use this guy. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is like the best little bit ever. I tried BVM's cutting things, but they just start, I guess you got to go much higher speed. They just chew, and if you're not careful, it'll eat the whole area. It'll make a big giant circle. But this guy, it's hard to see, but this guy's great for cutting. And it cuts from the top, and then you can kind of, once you basically can cut down, and you just keep working down. And I set this the length of the depth, so when this bottoms out, I've essentially, you know, I've gotten to where that needs to be. Great little tool. So, but I will get back to it and update you guys with the next video. Sorry for the gripes and complaints, but it's just frustrating. Pain in the butt. It's a lot of money, man. It's ridiculous how much. I mean, sometimes I'm like, what am I fucking doing? You know, but it could be race cars, which are way more expensive. Real airplanes, hookers or blow. I don't know. It's all expensive. So I figure this is a better hobby than the others. So you guys take it easy.